Now tonight's bedtime story is a vintage fairy tale, originally published in 1917, called Where the Sparks Go, by Abby Phillips Walker. And now be sure to make yourself as comfy as possible, snuggling deep into your warm, soft bed. Close your eyes, and now let's get sleepy together. Sweet dreams, my friend. So, as old tales go, once upon a time, a long, long time ago, there was a night when the wind was blowing, and it was clear and cold outside. There were a cat and a dog who were very good friends, that laid napping before a fireplace. The wood was snapping and crackling, making sparks fly around. And some of those sparks flew up the chimney. Others settled into the coals in the bed of the fireplace, while other sparks flew out on the hearth and slowly closed their eyes and went to sleep. Now one brave little spark ventured further out upon the hearth and landed very close to Miss Kitty. This made her jump, which woke the dog up. "That almost scorched your fur coat, Miss Kitty," said the dog. "No," said Miss Kitty. "I am far too quick to be caught by those silly sparks." "Why do you call them silly?" asked the dog. "I think they are very pretty to look at, and you know they do help to keep us warm." "Why, yes, of course that is all true," said the cat. "But those sparks that fly up the chimney on a night like this, well, I think they certainly are silly when they could be warm and comfortable inside. I just do not understand why they fly up the chimney. It really makes no sense to me." The little spark that landed so near Miss Kitty was still twinkling, and she blazed up a little when she heard what the cat said. "Well, if you knew our reason, you would not be calling us silly," she said. "You cannot see what we do, but if you were to look up the chimney and see what happens if we are lucky enough to get out at the top, well, then you wouldn't call us silly at all." So, of course, now the dog and the cat were very curious to know what happened, but the spark told them to look and see for themselves. Miss Kitty was very cautious and told the dog to go look first, so he stepped boldly up to the fireplace and poked his head right inside. And boy, oh boy, did he ever jump back fast, for he singed his hair, which made him cry and run to the other side of the room. Miss Kitty smoothed her soft coat, smugly thinking to herself how glad she was that she had been so wise as to not poke her head into a hot fireplace. And then she walked over to the dog and tried convincing him to come closer to the fire. But now he knew why you're supposed to keep far away from a fire, and he stayed a safe distance away. Miss Kitty walked back to the little spark and continued to question it. "Well, it's quite obvious that we cannot go into the fire," she said. "So now, pretty bright spark, do tell us what becomes of you when you fly up the chimney, for I am sure that you only become ash, and that, my friend, cannot make you desire to get to the top." "Oh, Miss Kitty, you are so very wrong," said the little spark. "We are far from being black when we fly up the chimney, for once we reach the top, we live forever sparkling in the sky. You can see if you look up the chimney, all of our brothers and sisters who have been lucky and reached the top, they are winking at us almost every night. Sometimes the wind must blow them away, though, because there are nights when we cannot see the sparks shining." "Who told you all that?" said the cat. "Did any of the sparks ever come back and tell you that they could live forever and ever and ever?" "Oh, no," said the little spark. "But we can see them, can we not? And of course we all want to shine forever." "I said you were silly," said the cat, "and now I know it. Those are not sparks, you see, my dear. Those are stars in the sky." "Well, you can call them anything you like," replied the little spark, "but we make the bright light that you see at night." "Well, if you take my advice," said the cat, "you will stay right in the fireplace, for once you reach the top of the chimney, out of sight you will go. The stars you see twinkling are far, far above the chimney, and you could never reach them." But the little spark would not be convinced. Just then, someone opened a door and the draft blew the spark back into the fireplace. In a few minutes, it was flying with the others toward the top of the chimney. Miss Kitty watched the fire a minute and then looked at the dog. "The spark might be right after all," said the dog. "Let's go out and see if we can see it." And there they saw the little spark flying up and up, twinkling as it flew, higher and higher, until they could no longer see it. And that's when Miss Kitty said, Perhaps it is true." And that's the end of tonight's magical vintage fairy tale. Join me tomorrow night for another bedtime story. Many blessings and sweet dreams, my friend. And until we meet again, with peace and love, from my world to yours. Namaste.